culture is actually damn good.
We're not urinating on the fire.
You can stop asking that question. I'm going to be calling the defense.
What I talked to Russell about is none of your business.
In this year's owners' meetings, not much has changed in the NFL landscape, but there were a few big decisions made. In an attempt to massage the egos of the refs union, the motion to make roughing the passer reviewable was rejected. It doesn't matter. We all knew it was going to be like reviewing pass interference a few years ago, where only a play or two was overturned and blatant PI wasn't because reasons. You will, however, see more potential ref ball and players with the number 0 on the field. There will also be no gradual cuts down to the final roster in the preseason from 90 players, which should keep starters fresh for a probable wave of injuries in week 2 of the season. Speaking of changes that no one wants, there's a chance that Thursday Night Football will have flex scheduling. It's more than likely going to be up for vote in May, and would give teams at least 15 days notice of a change from Sunday to Thursday. This would be terrible for the game, but remember, the dollar is what drives the NFL. TV rights fees are far more important to the league than the fans, and we all know it. It'll probably be reality barring a miracle. On to the NFC's moves. This is why you have to make your chances count when you get to the final dance, because there's a good chance you're going to lose a ton of depth when the show ends. To no one's surprise, the Eagles shed a lot of talent thanks to the Super Bowl tax and cap constraints. The question wasn't if they'd lose pieces, but how much. The likes of James Bradbury, Fletcher Cox, Boston Scott, and Brendan Graham are back, but cutting Darius Slay? Never mind, they brought him back at a reduced salary the same day. Well, the bleeding isn't as bad as we thought it'd be, and they did get cheaper options to replace the departed. Rashad Penny's really good when he can stay healthy. Not to mention Nicholas Morrow, Terrell Edmonds, and more for the defense. You could have done a lot worse if you're the Eagles. Now to see how much Jalen Hurts will want for his first big boy deal. Philly, be prepared to bleed government green.
Philadelphia Eagles select Jalen Carter, defensive tackle, Georgia.
This is a day of celebration for Philly. As expected, Jalen Hurts got his first big boy contract. And the Eagles are definitely bleeding government green in honor of the baggy secure. Speaking of Jalen's, meet the classic red flag draft pick. Blessed with incredible talent except in between the eyes. Carter was supposed to be a top 4 selection, but then it came out he has an affinity for street racing. It got a teammate of his tragically killed. After that, he seemingly stopped giving a shit about football and had a disastrous showing at his pro day. Which is why the Eagles snagged him up in a perfect fit. In theory. If they give him the come-to-Jesus talk and Jalen gets his shit together, he and Jordan Davis destroy interior lines for a decade. The downside? Well, let me introduce you to a man named Lawrence Phillips.
The Philadelphia Eagles select Nolan Smith, linebacker, Georgia.
Nothing like the prototypical Eagles pick. Blazing speed, lightning agility, and weighs 240 pounds soaking wet. Goes to show you how much the league has changed in a decade. Nolan Smith is a new breed of edge rusher, and Philly's apparently taking the midnight train down to Georgia. The Eagles are assembling the front 7 of the Bulldogs' natty team. Jordan Davis, Jalen Carter, Nolan Smith, and Nakobe Dean. They even got Keely Ringo in the 4th round. Watch them somehow end up with Trayvon Walker and Devontae Wyatt after all is done. Coming up short. It's a sting that tends to make a group hungrier than before. To get so close to the peak but just fall apart at the worst possible time. Not to mention suffering a metric ton of losses due to a cap crunch. However, these are the Eagles. They've never been ones to simply give up and die. They'll reload and bolster as needed to get back to the promised land. The NFC is feeble, and Jalen Hurts will be paid the big bucks to lead the way. Bringing in new weapons, the return of legends on the O-line, assembling Georgia's national championship front 7. Anything and everything will be done to get another Lombardi. Even shedding Derek Barnett because he wants more playing time. The future is here, and it's time for the rest of us to die. Especially their mortal enemies. This is the weakest NFC as a whole I've seen in a long time. We've gone from Rodgers, Breeze, Brady, and more to Jalen Hurts and maybe some other things. This is going to lead to some wonky results, I know it. First off, I believe there's a repeat winner in the NFC East. Philly takes it thanks to their offense. Sorry, Dallas. The NFC North, I'm going to kill myself in the future for it, but I'm picking Detroit. I think the Lions do it this year. Think that's crazy? I have Atlanta winning the NFC South. The only other serious contender here is New Orleans, and I don't trust them to stay healthy. NFC West, all things considered, is Seattle's to lose. This could change if Bosa plays and Purdy stays healthy, so I have them in a wildcard spot. The other 2 slots go to Dallas and Minnesota. As I said though, the final spots are anyone's guess. And that's the majesty of the game itself. Enough talk. Let's get to the football. Tom Brady has returned home. It's not as a player, but he will get a hero's welcome, much to the chagrin of the rest of the league. Will his presence will New England to an upset win? Starting out, that answer's no. Jalen Carter's going direction, and Darius Slay runs away with their momentum with a pick 6. However, Philly's not just interested in winning in blowout fashion. They have to toy with their prey first. Give them the hope of escape so they squirm and burn off all of their energy. Make it easier to feast on their innards. They'll sputter on offense as the Pats' legendary defense revives and buckles down on their opponent. Mac Jones will shake off the Patricia and Judge rust and return to rookie form. But they're still always within arm's distance. Philly can take them out easily.
Run play for Hurts all the way. Ball comes out. Ball is coughed up.
That will happen. The Predator is vulnerable, and New England can strike with haste.
Here's Jones. Pass short of the sticks and it's dropped anyway.
But wait, to countermove. The fight continues to rage and Philly can put them away again.
Across the middle, and it's knocked down.
The bullshit of Brady infects them by proxy. Time is ticking down. Can the Patriots do it? Can they drive the dagger for the kill?
Here's Jones throwing. Catch is made. Did he get the feet down? Is he in? They say yes. Booty, the rookie.
Nope. Oh no, he never got the second foot down. With that, Philly drives their teeth into their prey after a heroic struggle. It was ugly as hell, but they will eat. If you don't have tough luck, you have none to begin with. The Vikings. I could end the segment here and you would understand everything that happened in this game. Take last week's repeated seppuku with the football and amplify it by at least 10 times. Whatever they could fuck up with possession, they did with pleasure. A battered offensive line got even more battered as people apparently blamed Alex Madison for it. So it's his fault the front office cut Dalvin Cook? He wouldn't do anything here and you know it. Kirk Cousins is getting destroyed too. And if things couldn't get worse, Justin Jefferson coughed up the ball at the 1 as it rolls into the end zone to give the ball to Philly. Standard goddamn Minnesota. What did the Eagles do? Just hog time of possession as everyone gets triggered about the tush push. Because God forbid someone use their strength on the interior offensive line to an advantage. That was Minnesota's day. Get them right where you want, then the ball gets tush pushed for a touchback. If only you weren't so damn cursed, Vikings. Tampa Bay, you've done well for yourself so far this year. You look like an interesting team to watch as things rebound after whatever the hell last season was. You don't want to be left for dead, but Philly did more than enough of that to you. Don't get too offended, it has nothing to do with you boys. The Eagles do this to many teams in their path. That defense is going to completely destroy anything you try to throw at them. An impenetrable force that only serves to consume more bodies for the war machine. You'll be tush-pushed off a cliff as DeAndre Swift and Jalen Hurts wave at you falling to your death. Everything comes up Eagles. Jalen wisely arm punts the ball to the 1 yard line so the defense can score points of their own. Exactly as they wrote it up. Perfect for Scorigani. On to their next victim. And many more to come. Philly might be undefeated, but they are looking incredibly suspicious right now. Most of their games follow 2 arcs. Start out strong and let off the gas just to escape at the end, or heinously play down to competition. Sometimes both. I don't know what the hell it is, but we haven't seen a full 60-minute effort from the Eagles. It's kind of like they're coasting along. They'll have their talent flash on occasion, but then take a few unnecessary blows from a quietly humming Washington group. And the weirdest scenario of all, this game turns into an offensive duel. Weird since you don't really expect it from the commies. On one side, A.J. Brown is destroying Emmanuel Forbes in coverage like there's no tomorrow. On the other, Philly can't stop anything that Sam Howell does to keep them in the match. This is more than enough lollygagging, boys. You know what you need to do. Unleash the full power.
On 2nd and 4, Hurts looking to throw. Going end zone, watch Brown! It's there! Touchdown, Philadelphia!
There you go, turning Emmanuel Forbes into burnt toast yet again. A great solution for your woes. If only the defense wasn't getting bested by Sam Howell. They're deep in the red zone, down by 7 with 1 second left. You can stop them, right?
Howell, one last chance. End zone, touchdown! On their last breath, it's Jahan Dotson!
See what happens when you don't finish an opponent off? This shit happens. We're going to overtime. Thank you, fluke bullshit and technicalities, for making this pass to Terry McLaurin incomplete. The most aggravating rule in football, but rules are rules. Now with ball, the Eagles are all but being dragged kicking and screaming to field goal range, despite their intentions.
From 54 for the win, on the way, it is there! And the Eagles remain unbeaten!
Philly escapes by the literal skin of their teeth. Great, you're 4-0, but you're leaving us with a shitload of questions. There's no goddamn reason for it either. Washington played well, but you better be thanking your lucky stars that pass was incomplete. When I was hearing this call on the radio, I thought it was an Eagles home game. Considering it's at SoFi, it may as well be one. Another week passes, and another game where the Eagles choose to toy with their prey first ensues. The sad thing is that they still look good, despite not reaching their potential yet. They have multiple ways they can kill you, mainly in their ability to eat shitloads of game clock, featuring 4 drives over 5 minutes long, 2 of them eating over 8 minutes of it. The score looks a lot closer than it should have been, but that's because, once again, the Eagles aren't running at full potential. LA, you can fight it all you want. You may get Cooper Kupp back, but the less you squirm, the more painless your death will be. Just let them get 450 yards of total offense and be done with it. But not before Jalen Carter and Hassan Reddick eat you alive first. No offense to the Rams, they are good, but how good are they really? This game played out like every single goddamn Eagles game this season. Jump out to a sizable early lead, inexplicably have everything on offense turn to shit, then slowly toy with your prey instead of going for the kill. Another day passes and another game where Philly fails to play a full 60 minutes occurs. Leading 14-3 against a Jets team without a real QB should be pretty much over. New York's defense was without Sauce Gardner, DJ Reed, and more. So why are the Eagles simply choosing to lie down at the first sign of trouble? This isn't even playing down to competition. The Jets defense is simply taking advantage of a lax opponent. And take advantage they do. Only if they had a real quarterback that can corral the offense instead of simply kick field goals. Wouldn't know anything about that, though. The Eagles' second half of offense was misery incarnate. Fuck-ups on top of fuck-ups on top of fuck-ups. And this is with Jalen Hurts being salmon covered in Vaseline. He and the defensive line are apparently the only ones pulling their weight. Their secondary's at least excused. It's down to practice squad fodder and XFL regulars at this point. Even then, the Jets can do nothing with it because, you guessed it, they don't have a real quarterback. Aaron Rodgers is developing advanced immunization techniques to make his Achilles heal faster in response. Either that or he's helping to make Philly's offense keep fucking up. They must have given all their power to the Phillies or something, because we're nearly back to the Stone Age from this group. Either that or they're saving it for January. Gotta win the games you lead, though. But everything's fine. All you have to do is bleed the clock out and you can win.
Hurts facing a 4-man rush. Over the middle, it's intercepted! Picked off by Tony Adams! Adams on the run! Breaking tackles! Tossed down! Inside the 10!
Of course, the one thing they couldn't do, they serve on a silver platter. Supposed to imitate 2016 Carson Wentz, Jalen, not the 2020 version. This goes to show that on any given Sunday, great teams can play like absolute ass and hand a win to a team that have been craving any sort of hope. If you keep toying with your prey for that long, your prey ends up eating you. I'd have hope for the Jets, but let's be real, they're in the same situation as last year. They have everything except an O-line and a quarterback. History repeats itself. I forgot to do this last week, so let's get this out of the way. The 72 Dolphins stand alone for another year. Sure as hell not tonight, though. Even when Philly wins, we still feel unimpressed. It's not in the score, it's in the ways they're winning. Doesn't feel like the Eagles are anywhere close to what they could be. I know you're gonna say it's Miami and they're a really good team, but the Dolphins have only feasted on shitty opponents. It's a test for both franchises, yet here we've learned absolutely nothing. The game was surprisingly sloppy early on, like getting a roughing the passer call because they pushed the QB. Philly does have a strong 17-3 lead at home thanks to A.J. Brown and the brotherly shove, but they let off the gas. When it comes to the Tua-Tyreek connection, you can't just look at the rainbows. If you do, it'll temporarily blind your offense to where you can't do anything. Miami then does things. They'll somehow implode deep in your territory, but look over there! Hot Pockets. Game's tied, which leads to frustration. Fortunately, Philly is the luck of the Kelly Green on their side. Plus, they didn't make the same mistakes they did against the Jets. They unleash the full power and sprint away from another embarrassing moment to bury their opponent in all facets of play. Once again, yes, it's a win, but it still feels underwhelming. Good job on the 0 penalties though, Eagles. Goes to show that anyone can bribe officials or threaten their families. Miami suffers ref ball and a setback, but Buffalo lost too, so they didn't lose control. Just accept the script and move on. Philly, you've also won Kevin Byard to aid your ailing secondary. I don't get the commies. Against some of the worst teams in football, they'll look terrible, but against the Eagles, they suddenly turn into their 1991 vintage. Make it all make sense. The more I think about it, the more I believe the NFL simply trolls us for their entertainment. To begin, Philly looks sluggish and Washington is running in stride up 14-3. They have a chance to kill them off, but fail a 4th and 1. Then the commies remember that A.J. Brown is actually an amazing receiver you simply can't guard. And then the Eagles tush-push their way deep into Washington territory to start the second half to an easy fumble at the 1-yard line. Fumbled the brotherly shove? Oh my God in heaven. The game then becomes a fight of offensive power. Washington's inability to capitalize on the fumble leads to more revelations about A.J. Brown being unearthly. The commies respond to it with Baker Mayfield himself leading a touchdown drive. Sam Howell, like his team, somehow becomes an elite QB against Philly. Don't know how, don't care to explain it. I just like it. Same goes for Jalen Hurts on the next drive, simply destroying the Washington secondary like he did the last time they met. And suddenly the game is tied at the hands of Devontae Smith. Sadly for Washington, they can't keep up. Howell's intercepted deep in Washington territory and DeAndre Swift does the rest. Philly would not relinquish this lead. Took a bit to get started, but Philly flexed their might on both sides of the ball. And they'll do it in unique ways, such as touchdowns to Julio Jones. Yeah, he's still in the NFL. Oh, Washington, this was a crucial game for your short-term future, and you just couldn't do anything to stop the inevitable. Now with Minnesota potentially fucked, a hard decision must be made. Push for a wildcard loss as the 7th seed, or trade your high-profile defensive ends for day 2 picks. A classic battle for NFC East supremacy. Perhaps the NFC in general. The loud, annoying fan base or the loud, annoying fan base win. Either way, we at least get a nice show with some dazzle and pizzazz. A true heavyweight bout with both fighters giving everything they have to win the day. Rivalry games are always special contests. Between Cowboys and Eagles, it's only amplified. Points being scored as defenses seem unable to stop either attack. Except on limited occasions. However, at half, the tide turns. Philly engages in some home cooking. Jalen hurling rainbows and the defense holding up. The Eagles soar once again with another fine offensive drive. And they're up by 11 against what they feel is inferior prey. Dallas doesn't see it that way though. They have firepower as well. Yet every chance they have, it's misfortune aplenty. A 4th down touchdown at the goal line, not so fast. His knee was down and the ball never crossed the plane. Turnover on downs. Get the ball back quickly and score a TD to make up. There's a catch, the 2-point conversion fails. Dak steps out of bounds before his ball crosses the plane. Jerry's about ready to choke a bitch. Even more so as the Cowboys have another chance to secure a lead, only for the Eagles' vaunted front 7 to wreck every late plan in sight. Efforts made to overcome a 4th and long, but no dice. Turnover to Philly. However, the Eagles can't truly seal the deal. But with Cowboys' ball near their 10, it's not quite over. Philly then decides it's a good time to self-destruct with brutal penalties, both real and potentially bullshit. 3 major ones gifting Dallas the ball near the goal line and certain victory. And then they just started sweating bullets. Precious seconds vanishing into air. And only one more chance to steal the prize.
Prescott dancing around. Just gonna throw in the end zone. His catch is made by Lamb, but he's short! The Eagles will win it!
Somewhere in Tennessee, a Titans fan is getting flashbacks. Coming up a few yards short as Cowboys fans endlessly complain about the officiating. Literal inches being the difference. Regardless, it was a great game with 2 teams that deserve kudos for such an effort. But Philly never ever do that shit again, you hear me? You might not be as lucky next time. A heavyweight bout at Arrowhead, just as the gods had imagined. Both fighters pounding their opponent like the rain pounding the field of play. Only if Kansas City managed to connect on their damn punches instead of giving the Eagles a chance to breathe. Who knew that the Chiefs' defense would be the ones carrying the team? Philly's high-flying attack has been neutralized on all but a handful of plays for the most part. Chris Jones is killing Jalen Hurts, but the offense is killing itself. It's literally a repeat of their Week 1 performance against Detroit. Repeated failures to capitalize on opportunities as they get caught in a haze and only explode on themselves. This receiving core was supposed to be good? All I'm seeing as of late are their favorite kind of candy. Drops. If they had hands, this is a multi-score game. And you can't fuck up like this against the Eagles because, oh, look at that. Philly's finally broken the defensive spell. They've only been doing this the entire fucking year. Good news for them, they swiped the lead away from the home crowd. Down by 4, the Chiefs' offense still goes flat. There's one more chance for Kansas City, yet they're still failing to do anything of note. Yet somehow they will the ball down the field. Losing at home? No, they're going to be dragged to a win kicking and screaming.
Good protection, aired out. Valdez-Scantling dropped it.
I had a witty retort for this colossal fuck-up, but like the Chiefs' receivers, it was dropped. And to add insult to injury, guess how the game ends? You guessed it, a dropped pass. The Eagles get a 9-1 brotherly shove, and Kansas City is looking as suspect as the hands on their receivers are. Philly still has no consistency, but with implosions like this, the hell needs it.
We blew it, Pants. What do you mean, we?
Must-win time for the Bills. And they'll be getting no help from their opponents. And the elements may be even more unforgiving than the Eagles are. It's been an incredibly agonizing endeavor for Buffalo. And like most other contests they played, the only mantra is self-inflicted wounds. The Bills can't stop taking penalties. It's giving Philly a chance at life, despite Buffalo looking like the significantly better team throughout the affair. And it doesn't help that the officials aren't calling horse collar tackles on Allen. Oh, the fans are complaining? Then it's intentional grounding on Josh. As icing on the cake, they missed that field goal. A touchdown kinda sorta makes up for it, but when it rains, it pours. In this case, Tyler Bass missing another field goal. Welcome to the offensive duel, where Jalen Hurts finally manages to activate his abilities after a long startup. And Josh Allen returns to being a fire god. Both men slinging the rock in these miserable conditions as Buffalo clings to a slim lead. Until Josh Allen malfunctions and gives Philly prime field position. I'd say the defense would do its job, but then the high-end talent shows up for the Eagles. You give up that on a 3rd and long. The bullshit is real. Time is ticking and Buffalo needs to counter fast. Fortunately, Josh Allen has been known to carry the Bills, and he's doing so again. A convincing drive by the Fire God puts victory within grasp. He puts them up by 3, and Philly's forced to scramble. They're not doing much to help Jake Elliott, and he'll have to try for a prayer. It looks impossible, but what's that sound I'm hearing?
Bravado to snap it to man. Elliott puts the toe on it, and the kick is good!
As I said, the bullshit is real. 59 yards in these shitty conditions? It's one of the best kicks of the year. High-end talent saves the Eagles a spot in overtime. Buffalo gets ball first, which should allow them their first overtime win in the Josh Allen era. If there wasn't a massive miscommunication on what should have been the game-winning TD, you can't give Philly an inch. And too bad for Buffalo, they'll be giving up yards. There will be more controversy, more home cooking in these miserable conditions. But we all know the inevitable's gonna happen.
The pedigree of championship teams.
There goes Hurts. Hurts to the end zone. And the Eagles have won it in overtime.
Philly steals another win from the clutches of fate itself. Even when nearly everything went right in some areas, it inexplicably backfires on the Bills. Undone by countless errors, both inadvertent and self-inflicted. The refs were shit, but you can't even solely blame them for this. Buffalo dominated this game on paper, but devastatingly lost again. And this one might cost them the season if we're being honest. Staring into the barrel of a gun is all they're doing. Nobody told them that the Eagles like to pull the trigger. They do for a lot of teams that can't finish them off. San Francisco is gunning for more than revenge for last year's NFC Championship game. They want to send a message. Any foe that dares cross them in the field of battle will suffer a fate worse than death. In a supposed game of the week against the supposed class of the NFC, the Eagles weren't just run over by a monster truck. They were plucked of their mighty feathers, boiled in tar, and left to be consumed by maggots in a swamp. Even in the home confines of the Link, their champions will be routinely bested and slaughtered in front of a horrified crowd. There will be no crowning king here. San Francisco has shown that they are the class of the conference. Fuck the seeding, the NFC runs through them and them alone. They have 50 ways to kill with unbelievable efficiency, and the Niners showed us at least 10 of them in a 30-minute span. The only demerit for them was Dre Greenlaw trying to skirmish the Eagles' head of security, getting them both booted in the process. It's like sacrificing a bishop for a damn pawn. We've only got 5 weeks left in the season from hell itself. That means the playoffs are about to be seen as we crest over the hill. And then the race to the finish will truly begin. The NFC is much more slanted towards the top. Philly still remains the #1 seed despite their loss. But San Francisco and Detroit are gaining on them fast. As the Clown in the Army Battalion, Atlanta is 4th in Tank Division. Dallas should be in a top 4 spot, but they're stuck in a division with the Eagles. The other 2 wildcard spots are a 4-team race. The Vikings and Packers claim positions for now, but the Rams and Seahawks are right on their tail. Right behind them, the Buccaneers and Saints are knocking on the door of Tank Division. And the Bears and Giants are currently in a combination of long-term planning and extremely slim chances to make noise. This is the playoff situation, and the madness is only going to amplify. There's only one rule, and sadly the Panthers didn't follow it.
Don't get eliminated!
To all those that are listening to this message, this is a national warning. All football fans are under a shelter-in-place order for the foreseeable future. Toxicity coming from Dallas is reaching levels we haven't seen in years. The Cowboys' relentless suffocation of the formerly superior Eagles has resulted in a super strain of deserved arrogance. Even limited exposure to their chest beating and dominance will be fatal. Relocate to the lowest level of your house or a bomb shelter immediately. Ensure that you have at least 2 weeks' worth of canned goods, bottled water, and other necessary supplies. Be on the lookout for signs of a deadly affliction of Cowboys fandom. They include but are not limited to praising the team defense, verbal diarrhea, warranted superiority, foaming at the mouth, and calling the Eagles frauds. Do not turn on any electronic device, as they will be corrupted by chants of Dak for MVP. If your significant other or children are currently away from the home, assume them dead. This is your first and final warning. Good luck. And how about them Cowboys? Well, this is gonna take a bit to sort out. Scriptwriters are generating so much hope that it could power a small town for years on end. A mediocrity carousel that'll make your head spin. The age of upsets brings us endless mosh pits. The NFC is even worse off. But we have a new #1 seed in San Francisco because Dallas has usurped the Eagles in the division lead for now. They're in 2nd place. Detroit, despite their struggles as of late, have 3rd seed, which won't be in danger. That's because Tampa Bay is somehow leading Tank Division. The abomination we hoped would die. They'll have the right to host Philly in a wildcard game if things stand. With 2nd wildcard, I don't know how, but the Vikings are in sole possession of it. 1,000,000 explosions and somehow alive. Same as Green Bay in the wildcard spot that should not exist. A 5-way tie exists for the right to get slaughtered. The Rams, Seahawks, Falcons, and Saints are also in the mix for better or worse. And in the background, the Giants and Bears are kicking back laughing at how the hell they're only a game back of a dance ticket. Welcome to the mess, kids. We've got 4 games left. Only 1 spot's been clinched and 2 teams are out. Buckle up. Keep your hands inside at all times. And one more thing.
Don't get eliminated!
The Battle of the Birds is now do or die for the Seahawks. And it's gonna get even more challenging for them. Geno Smith is active in name only. He's nowhere close to 100%. Drew Lock was awoken from slumber 5 minutes before game time and thrown onto the field in his robe and slippers. Did I mention he has to face the Eagles? If there's any good news for them, Matt Patricia is now calling the defenses. Philadelphia, I send my condolences. Not just for the horrors they'll experience on that end in the future, but because of their sluggish offense. We've been waiting all year for them to reach their full potential in that arena. We're still waiting. The unit has significantly stalled, the epitome of feast or famine in all aspects. People want to talk about banning the tush push? It's the most reliable thing the Eagles have right now. With their mercurial nature, the only fight they're showing is kerfluffles imitating Dre Greenlaw on the sidelines. The fortunate thing is that they're playing the Seahawks and Drew Lock. Any other team worth their salt, even one starting Geno, and it's a rout. I haven't gotten to the worst reality of all. Jalen Hurts has visibly regressed. Could be the flu he was dealing with all week, but last I checked, that didn't cause a man to chuck an arm pump with momentum on a 1st and 10. Brian Johnson, what the fuck are you doing? The passing attack isn't anywhere close to being in sync, yet they still control their own destiny in spite of it. Somehow, it's never enough. 4-point lead and a chance to finish off their prey? You think this is the 2022 team? Philly's offense can't do shit and failed to punish Pete Carroll's idiocy. How can this get worse for them? A 92-yard game-winning touchdown drive by Drew Lock of all quarterbacks? Come on, it's not like that's gonna happen. They're not just gonna lie down and die easily. Right, Eagles?
Lock, end zone, it is caught! Touchdown, Seattle!
Oh, shit. Eagles fans, may I proudly present to you the Matt Patricia defense, featuring so much man coverage that you'll puke from the rainbows. Considering the Eagles have cornerbacks that have struggled in man this year, that's not a good formula. I know Patricia wasn't the major problem today, but that fruit so low I have to pick it. Philly showcased their disaster of an offensive ethos and gifted Seattle the ultimate lifeline. With their pathetic schedule coming up, a home playoff game may once again be secure. But Philly is reeking of that 2020 Steelers stench. Just take your playoff berth and sit in the corner in shame. Another tick of the clock is passed. And while several teams have secured tickets to the dance, there is so much more at stake in this final stretch. The NFC is San Francisco's to lose. They stand alone for the #1 seed right now, with Dallas, Detroit, and Philly having outside chances at it. In spite of a 3-game skid, Philly still controls their own destiny. If they and Dallas both win out, they will control the NFC East due to strength of schedule. The Cowboys are just hoping their rival keeps failing. The big scenario is tank division. Tampa Bay has the potential to run away with a spot due to a 3-game win streak. New Orleans is hot on their tail, but currently lose tiebreaker. Atlanta just keeps choking, so they're on the outside. Like in the AFC, there's a 4-way tie for 2 wildcard spots. Minnesota's in troubled waters, but still has the 6th seed. The LA Rams, after a Packers loss, now control the final spot. The Seahawks and Saints are also in the mix and are eager to steal a spot for their own. Behind them, Green Bay and Atlanta need a good bit of help now after their last 2 defeats. I wish you all good tidings and safe travels in this final week of 2023. Christmas season is hectic, but these holidays get more special with age. Enjoy your time with friends and family, cherish what you have in life, and do me one favor, please.
Don't get eliminated!
Christmas is a time of many blessings. These did not take place at the Link. In another showing of awful gaming, the Giants tried to disconnect their Ethernet cable mid-match, but there would be no such luck. Philly not only significantly outmuscled them, but outpushed them in both the trenches and flanks. A miserable slog for all of Jersey where they cry into a pot of clam pasta to make homemade sauce. An offense that has finally run out of gusto and parm to season their attack. As Philly flies away, a hard decision is made. The Feast of the 7 Fishes has a new offering on the table. Whacked DeVito. The magical ride is over. Tyrod Taylor's coming in, and he'll prove absolutely nothing besides missing nearly every single wide open receiver that he chucks the ball towards on the run. You have to understand, the Eagles weren't even good in this game. Repeated self-sabotage was the main recipe in the oven. Terrible execution only serving to give New York undeserved life. Seriously, if they don't get in their own fucking way, the Eagles win by at least 30. It was that much of a blowout. But alas, Philly survives not only the Giants, but themselves. Mostly themselves. Toying with their prey for way too long, proving nothing rewarded for playing a bad opponent. 2 more weeks to go, yet we have solved next to nothing. A few more pieces have moved into position, but very little set in stone. 2 teams clinched, 2 more eliminated, yet there are still 10 more teams that need to be cut off from the pack. The NFC #1 seed has a new wrinkle with San Francisco's loss. Philadelphia has a renewed chance to stake a claim for that title in spite of themselves. Detroit has it in their sights as well, but the Niners still control their own destiny in that regard. The NFC East is a simple proposition. An Eagles win or Cowboys loss in the next 2 weeks means Philly secures a home playoff game. And they play the Cardinals and Giants. Barring a hilarious collapse, it's theirs. Tank division at Tampa Bay further secure a home matchup against most likely Dallas. Atlanta and New Orleans are a game back, but their best shot of doing anything is in the wild card barring an implosion. The wild card spots, excluding Dallas, are now solely controlled by the Rams and Seahawks, with LA controlling tiebreaker. 1 game back are Minnesota, Atlanta, Green Bay, and New Orleans in mixed states of being. And then the Bears. Somehow not dead yet. We have 2 weeks left, and the purge will shortly commence. Make your preparations now, for there will only be one phrase chanted throughout the land.
Don't get eliminated!
The Eagles are a shit show and a half, merely skating by on talent, but even they can't fuck this up, right? It's at home against fucking Arizona and the defensive coordinator that all but cost them a Super Bowl last year. Come on, the schedule headed into the stretch is Charmin soft. They're a spitting clone of the 2020 Steelers, but even they hosted a home playoff game. Philly can manage. Look, Julio Jones is making the 5 players that were forced to start him in their fantasy championships rich. Arizona's getting chunks of yardage, but Kyler keeps frustrating us all with one of the worst miscommunications in football and delivers one of the finest pick sixes the league has seen this year. Delicious stuff. It's 21-6 Philly at halftime, and this should be all but over. There's a big problem. It's the Eagles' defense. It's fucking terrible. Aging parts galore, a bunch of losses in free agency, and a linebacking core and secondary that are destroyed lead to disaster. People forgot that Kyler Murray's actually pretty good and can steal games. He and James Conner are eating. They're taking this garbage Matt Patricia defense and dicing it apart. They literally cannot be stopped. This is the upside that Arizona was looking for when Kyler was drafted. A true run-and-gun offense. And all it took was a free-falling shit show. The game's tied before you know it. And Philly's in a shootout. Whether in a shootout against the fucking Cardinals is anyone's guess. The Link wants heads to roll for this, regardless of outcome. Every touchdown scored is immediately countered because the Eagles' defense is... What are they, anyway? Hoping Jalen Carter wreaks havoc? Praying Shaq Leonard's back magically heals up? They aren't just blowing it, they're getting fucking gashed in every conceivable metric. Arizona's desperately trying to give you the game with an onside kick. What does Philly do on offense? Showcase regression with the most predictable shit imaginable. Nick Sirianni's about to be a dead man walking after this field goal. Is there anything else to say? The Eagles have shown no ability to stop Kyler in the Cards. Why now? They seriously thought Matt Patricia was gonna fix anything. Dear Lord, what a shitty football team.
Conner again, nose down, he's in for the Cardinal touchdown!
You didn't just lose to the Cardinals. You lost to the goddamn coordinator you couldn't wait to see leave. What fucking delicious irony. Going from suspect as hell to losing 4 of 5. The 2020 Steelers reincarnate. They aren't doing shit in the playoffs. They're gonna get fucking embarrassed there. Philly's failure is catastrophic. Remember when the Cowboys benefited from heinous ref ball the night before? They now control the NFC East. The cancer of Eagles fans has been replaced by the cancer of Dallas. We welcome our new insufferable overlords. Their rule be just as toxic as the last reign. Philly does win a Nobel Consolation Prize in Locale of the Week at minimum. It's very fitting. This award implodes on command like they do. Things got much clearer and much more confusing at the same time. I don't know how that's possible, but we must accept this chaotic landscape known as reality. There were some clinchings, however, many scenarios must be cleared up. Philly did not perform, and as a result of their choke and other unnamed factors, Dallas now controls the NFC East. If they beat up on some commies once again, they will host home playoff games. If not, the door opens back up for the Eagles. But no guarantees. Tank Division is a hellscape. All 3 of Tampa Bay, New Orleans, and Atlanta have a chance to claim its melted crown. The Buccaneers control their own destiny against an awful Carolina team, but if they somehow fail, the Saints or Falcons will drunkenly stumble into a home game as they play each other. There's only one wildcard spot left to claim, and it's the 7th seed that should not exist. Green Bay now controls their own destiny after Seattle lost, but they have to win against the Bears. If they fail, the door opens for rivals. The Seahawks will get first crack. If they also lose, New Orleans can take it. If they all fail, Minnesota gets the chance to defy fate itself. It's crunch time, boys. The final week is upon us. You've made it this far, but the cold reality is there are only so many spots available. Good luck, and may the gods smile upon you.
Don't get eliminated!
Philadelphia isn't collapsing. Saying that would imply that there was any structure to begin with. Even for a derision, I think we were too kind with Philly before this moment. To declare them as frauds is an insult to anyone who actually is one. That indicates some semblance of competence. Eagles, you are fucking terrible. Not just losing to a Giants team reeling from a miserable year, but brought to heel by them in 20 minutes? What the hell are you doing in practice all week? Generating a victim complex? You really are the 2020 Steelers. All the way to the cancer infesting the locker room. Don't worry, Philly. Nick Sirianni will throw a temper tantrum and Matt Patricia will reinforce why I wouldn't have him coaching Pop Warner. You want to know how this gets worse for the Eagles? Oh, this shit sandwich has gone putrid. A.J. Brown and Jalen Hurts went down with injury. Things have transformed from fucked to Jim Jones passing out Kool-Aid. At least drinking that'll free you from this hell. This is supposed to be a Super Bowl contender? In what universe? The Campbell's chunky world? It has been settled. A little more anticlimactic than usual, but sometimes conclusions are very underwhelming. Just ask Game of Thrones. The playoff matchups are now set in stone. The AFC Baltimore gets a first-round bye to go up against the trainees from Police Academy. Buffalo somehow secures the second seed and a probable first-round bye since they're playing Pittsburgh at home. I'll laugh hysterically if they blow it. Kansas City managed to at least catch a third seed against Miami, where Tyreek Hill is returning to where he honed his craft for years. Houston, in the shocker of the year, wins fourth seed. They'll be taking on Cleveland in the Deshaun Watson Bowl. Fortunately, without Deshaun Watson. The NFC is just as trashy if we're being honest. San Francisco gets first-round bye. Leading off the bad news bears, Dallas secures the second seed. And a matchup against Green Bay. No bad experiences in previous playoff matches there, I'm sure. Detroit gets third seed in the ultimate revenge match. Matthew Stafford coming home to lead the Rams against them. The winner of Tank Division, in spite of themselves, is Tampa Bay. And they'll have a legitimate chance of winning since the only thing Philadelphia can beat is themselves at this point. Prepare yourselves accordingly. This year's been a shit show and I anticipate much more of the same in the playoffs. Take care, and I'll see you for the haters guy. This season was an acid trip. Instability and wonkiness in nearly every game imaginable. The year of the backup quarterback. In some cases, the third stringer. Or further than that. The Shield wants to squeeze every dollar it can out of the game, and it's showing in the quality of play. Every team sucks. Everyone's a fraud. The league's product is shit, and there are only about 2 or 3 teams that might be competent. Endless trash abound. Let's put the victims on stage and roast them over a fire. If the Eagles are Super Bowl contenders, I'm Livy fucking done. We aren't even on fraud watch with these boys. This team fucking sucks. Good God, this is such an on-field abortion that it should be protected under Roe v. Wade. What the hell do I begin? The offense that has never played up to its potential at all this season? The skill positions that are mangled by awful play call and underutilization? Or do we begin an uncomfortable conversation about how their $50 million quarterback has significantly regressed? And he's fighting injury along with A.J. Brown. Ban the tush push, why would you? It's the only damn thing Philly has. As long as you ignore the defense. Oh God. Let's put it this way. They thought that Matt Patricia was an upgrade. If Jalen Carter isn't wrecking things, your Pornhub levels are fucked. That linebacking core and secondary has turned into 3 Mile Island. Why should I stop? That defense ain't doing much of that on the field. They're the 2020 Steelers until proven otherwise. Even that might be generous. I have more faith in the Steelers to do something than these fuckers. Go lose in the first round by 20 and become a meme as his destiny. Then Nick Sirianni can scream and joy next year by beating a 5-win team by 2. When you reach that final gauntlet, you have to find that extra gear. Despite how it may look on the surface, considering this year has been full of unpredictability on any given Sunday, I'm expecting some rather unusual results. I look forward to the memes. And yes, I know none of you are looking forward to this next segment. So who do I curse with the jinx this time around? Should be easy, but I'm starting to overthink this because why go after the obvious picks? It feels like it's bait. I don't know why, but it's gonna lure me into a trap. Knowing how every team has glaring flaws, I'm just gonna say Cowboys versus Chiefs. Why? Because nothing makes any goddamn sense. Just roll with it. I'm trying to as well, boys. 2 words best describe these playoffs. Fuck you. Fuck your feel-good stories. Fuck your narratives. And especially fuck likability. That shit doesn't get you to the promised land. Wins do. It's been a playoffs full of blowouts and humiliation, but it marches on all the same. Nearly everyone's pissed at the outcome. You know what to do. Start mining salt. I said this team sucked in the previous vid. I was being too nice. To simply say the Eagles suck is the understatement of the goddamn decade. They'd lose to the fucking Carolina Panthers as it stands right now. Nothing I say in terms of negative vitriol nor biting snark is justified. They don't deserve it. Blown the fuck out in the most predictable outcome of the weekend. A birth of a meme making the 2020 Steelers look like child's play. A team that couldn't convert a single third or fourth down? Look at this apathetic defense. Absolute fucking trash that even waste management wouldn't touch. Toxic refuse. They're lucky to have only lost by 20. If Bucs receivers could catch, they'd have lost by 20 more. The bald eagle may be off the endangered species list, but the Philadelphia Eagles being tush-pushed to extinction. They seriously gave that fucking hack Patricia real power. If there's any justice in this world, the only thing he'd be manning is a Burger King drive-thru. Philly's already purged Sean Desai and Brian Johnson. So when Sirianni's head getting chopped off,